A jet precisely struck, or a claim shot down? Over Chabahar, truth fractures as missiles fall and narratives collide. False, says Washington. Level Tel Aviv, warns Tehran. In a war of drones, debris, and declarations, one question cuts through the noise. What's real on this battlefield, and what isn't? Conflicting narratives are emerging from the battlefield as Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps claims a major aerial hit, swiftly rejected by the United States. In a statement, IRGC Public Relations said an American F-18 fighter jet was precisely struck over Chabahar by a newly deployed naval air defense system and crashed into the Indian Ocean. However, the US military has categorically denied the claim. In a fact-check post on X, US Central Command stated,
"False. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps announced a US F-18 fighter was struck over Chabahar using new advanced air defense systems. True. No US fighter aircraft have been shot down by Iran."
Even as the aerial claim remains disputed, Iran says its broader strike campaign is expanding. The IRGC reported missile hits on multiple Israeli locations, including Haifa, Dimona, and areas around Tel Aviv. It also claimed that total casualties from its strikes have surpassed 2,500. In a direct message aimed at US citizens, the IRGC accused political leaders of misrepresenting the war's realities.
The truth of the war you must observe at American gas stations, on the streets of Iran, and in the skies of Tel Aviv and Haifa. Don't send your children to hell with the deceit of Netanyahu and Trump. The invading soldiers will be deeply drowned and disappear in the million-strong sea of the Iranian nation. Remember, we will level Tel Aviv and Haifa to the ground. This is what our martyred leader taught us.
According to Iranian claims, more than 700 missiles and 3,600 drones have been launched since the war began, alongside assertions that over 200 enemy aerial assets have been intercepted, figures that remain independently unverified. Meanwhile, on Israel's northern front, Israeli police confirmed that a cluster munition struck a residential area in Kiryat Shmona, reportedly fired from Lebanon, where Hezbollah has claimed responsibility for multiple attacks. As claims and counterclaims intensify, the fog of war is thickening, with information itself becoming a contested domain, and escalation now unfolding not just in the skies, but across narratives shaping the conflict's global perception. As the United States and Iran edge toward potential negotiations, a stark assessment from one of Britain's most experienced intelligence figures is reshaping the narrative of the war. In an interview with The Economist, former MI6 chief Alex Younger offered a blunt conclusion. Despite sustained US and Israeli pressure, Tehran may now hold the strategic advantage.
Iran has the upper hand. I regret reaching that conclusion. I spent most of my career dealing with the violence and brutality of the Revolutionary Guards. I did not shed a tear over the death of Ali Khamenei, but the reality is that the United States underestimated the task and, about 2 weeks ago, lost the initiative to Iran.
Younger has said Iran's battlefield resilience has surpassed expectations, citing early strategic decisions and adaptive military tactics that helped blunt the impact of sustained air campaigns. Younger argued that Tehran's approach to dispersing its military assets significantly enhanced its survivability.
The Iranian regime has shown greater resilience than anyone would have expected, in my view. They made some good decisions as early as last June regarding the dispersal of their military capabilities.
Younger added that Iran's use of what he described as horizontal escalation, launching rockets across a wide geographic range, initially appeared reckless but proved strategically effective.
At the time, I thought it was madness, but in fact, it is a very effective way of imposing a direct cost on the United States, and it has worked reasonably well.
A key turning point, according to Younger, has been Iran's ability to expand the conflict beyond traditional battlefields, particularly through energy leverage and regional escalation.
Iran understood the significance of energy warfare and threatened to close the strait. It turned the conflict into a global one. The Iranians have played their hand quite well, despite being dealt weak cards.
He also drew a sharp contrast between the strategic motivations of Washington and Tehran, warning that asymmetry in stakes is shaping endurance on the battlefield.
Trump made it clear that Iran is in an existential war and that he wants to see it with its back to the wall. The United States, by contrast, is in a war of choice. I think that has given the Iranians more staying power than the United States, and certainly more than its partners. I think that gives them the dominant position.
Younger's assessment challenges prevailing assumptions about Western military superiority, suggesting that resilience, escalation strategy, and control over energy choke points may be redefining the balance of power. As negotiations loom, the battlefield reality appears increasingly complex, where military might alone may not dictate outcomes, and where strategic endurance could ultimately decide the trajectory of the conflict. Iran has flatly denied any ongoing negotiations with the United States, dismissing claims of back-channel diplomacy as fake news, even as Washington signals a temporary pause in military escalation. According to statements on March 23rd, Iran's parliament speaker Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf rejected reports that talks were underway with the US, contradicting earlier assertions by US President Donald Trump.
Iranian people demand complete and remorseful punishment of the aggressors. All Iranian officials stand firmly behind their supreme leader and people until this goal is achieved. No negotiations have been held with the US, and fake news is used to manipulate the financial and oil markets and escape the quagmire in which the US and Israel are trapped.
His statement underscores Tehran's official denial of diplomacy and frames reports of talks as market manipulation amid ongoing conflict. The denial comes hours after President Trump claimed progress toward de-escalation, announcing a temporary halt to planned strikes.
I am pleased to report that the United States of America and the country of Iran have had, over the last 2 days, very good and productive conversations regarding a complete and total resolution of our hostilities in the Middle East. Based on the tenor and tone of these in-depth, detailed, and constructive conversations which will continue throughout the week, I have instructed the Department of War to postpone any and all military strikes against Iranian power plants and energy infrastructure for a 5-day period, subject to the success of the ongoing meetings and discussions.
This announcement signals a conditional pause in US strikes, tied directly to the outcome of what Washington describes as ongoing discussions. However, Iranian state-linked outlets have reinforced the denial. The IRGC-affiliated Fars news agency reported via telegram that no talks have taken place and hinted at imminent escalation, citing special events planned for Tel Aviv and regional US allied targets. Separately, Iran's Foreign Ministry spokesperson Esmail Baghaei, quoted by IRNA, reiterated that Tehran's strategic position remains unchanged, particularly regarding the Strait of Hormuz. The conflicting narratives come at a critical juncture in the war, with the Strait of Hormuz, through which roughly 20% of global oil flows, remaining a central pressure point. Markets briefly reacted to Trump's statement, with oil prices easing and equities rising, before Iran's denial injected fresh uncertainty. Since the conflict began on February 28th, casualties have mounted across the region. Iranian sources report over 1,500 killed in US-Israeli strikes, while Lebanon has seen more than 1,000 deaths and mass displacement amid Israeli operations against Hezbollah. Israel has reported 15 fatalities, while 13 US service members have been killed in the theater. With diplomacy publicly denied and threats of new attacks emerging, the trajectory of the conflict remains volatile, heading into the next 24 hours.